welcome to a wonderful summer, last day of summer, kind of officially, edition of Village in Motion. It is Labor Day. I can't believe the summer has just flown by. September the 5th, 2016. And I am just thrilled to be your host on today's Village in Motion. I'm Diane Gatsis, Havinga. And yes, indeed, I took a trip. I had just an amazing journey overseas. And we're going to spend the next half hour or so together as I explore a wonderful city, St. Petersburg, Russia. So if you haven't been to St. Petersburg, trust me, it's a city you want to go and visit. If you probably don't think you're going to get there, because it is quite a journey to get from here to there, then this would be a perfect way to be introduced to the wonderful sights, sounds, and music of St. Petersburg, Russia.
The largest palace to be built in the very middle of the 18th century. So it was built in all that Baroque style, but unfortunately, as well as many of the Russian palaces at that time, its heating system wasn't perfect. They used those stoves, and the sparkle could always hand in hand with the goddess of wisdom, another version of that portrait. So this is the home chapel of the Winter Palace, which is called the Grand Church, the Grand Church of the Winter Palace. So the architect, originally that Italian architect, decided to design this church like one of the staterooms, just like one of the rooms. That's why. Alexander I, the most favorite grandson of Catherine II, she was quite an interfering mother-in-law. She took him immediately after he was born from his parents, just because she decided to bring him up in her own way. And frankly speaking, she succeeded. She became one of the most liberal monarchs in Russia, very liberal, I mean, sometimes even too liberal. So Alexander the First, who ruled Russia from 1801 up to 1825. He died naturally. No assassination, no mysteriously disappearing. Just died.
Yeah.
So
Of natural causes after his wife poisoned him.
So Alexander the First is depicted on his way to Paris. Look, in the background you can see Paris. No Eiffel Tower yet, so it's not very easy to realize this is the Paris, but believe me. So it was on his orders that this gallery was created. It was created by an Italian architect, Carlo Rossi. So, I mean, if you look at this from the architectural point of view, it's very impressive skylights, the ceiling painting, all those chandeliers and beautiful parquet floors, but it's not the most important thing in here. So all those minor portraits are the portraits of all the officers, Russian officers of very high rank, like major generals. You say it this way, major generals, because we say the other way, general majors.
Well, major.
So major generals, lieutenant generals, who participated in that war, and along with Alexander the First, conquered Paris. So once in the Russian history, the Russian army conquered Paris, but they behaved like we have. That's they were all very well educated. They were not just the officers. They were composers, poets, whatever, artists. So, and for them, it was a shock that those slaves, those peasants, had the same patriotic feelings towards their motherland. And for the first time in the Russian history, the nobility, the nobles, and the simple people acted together against the invader, against Napoleon. Another thing, all those guys, to come to Paris, they went across all Europe and they could see how people lived at that time in Europe, much better than people lived in Russia. So on coming back home, Russia seemed so backward for all those guys. I mean, what I'm trying to say, all that resulted in the uprising. In December of 1825, there was uprising organized by the nobles, by some of them, by their younger brothers, by their sons. So, and they wanted to change the absolute monarchy into the constitutional monarchy, as now they have in the UK and in many countries the constitutional monarchy. So they used the time when Alexander I died and another guy refused to have the Russian throne. So, and the younger brother of that Alexander I, that Nicholas on two legs, that unstable Nicholas, came and he severely suppressed the uprising. 5 main guys, 5 bleeding guys, were executed in the fortress of St. Peter and Paul, and all the rest were exiled to Siberia for life, never given permission to come back to Moscow, to St. Petersburg. But anyway, since that time, Russia never got back. And in fact, that was the beginning of the Russian Revolution in 1917, because it was a shame to have that slavery, to have that absolute monarchy. So if perhaps they had succeeded, we would have lived with the constitutional monarchy still, we don't know. So the history is full of ifs. Sure. So this is, I mean, that's why this place, I mean, is really very important, really very important. That is the beginning of everything. I mean, those guys changed a lot of things in Russia. On coming back from that war, they gave freedom immediately to their slaves. Soviet restorators, by the Soviet artists. To a different Russian order. Like, for example, that one, the blue one in the middle, still belongs to the order of Saint Andrew. That one on the right still belongs to the order of Saint Vladimir, the Russian saint. And all that way on the left there is the table decorated with the ribbon belonging to the Saint George order. St. George order. And if you look at the tables, you can see that even the porcelain things created here in Russia in the mid-18th century are decorated with the ribbons, we call them order porcelain set because of the ribbons. Another dining room, and in the middle you can see the table, which is laid with the German porcelain set made in that Meissen manufactory, that famous German porcelain manufacturer. On the walls you can see the paintings created by the French artist Van Gogh, the court artist to the court of Empress Elizabeth. They were meant for one of her hunting pavilions in the garden. As they usually, very French are always like that, very dark. So she ordered to design this part of the palace for her son Paul I and his wife Maria. So no gold, no plafond paintings, nothing like that. Just a perfectly classical style. Plaster, again 3 colors: white, pistachio, light green, if you like. The main guy says, here we go.
I have been to many, many Orthodox churches and cathedrals, but trust me, the one you just saw is just spectacular, and it just blows you away. So I hope you've enjoyed our last summer adventure of 2016, St. Petersburg. And before I let you go, I want to let you know what's coming up later on today on Channel 6.